The next thing we're going to do is a add-on to specific exercises to be able to go and work on hip stability. So a lot of times we'll use these exercises to be able to go and if you have issues with knees and hip injuries, a lot of times our hip stabilizers and our knee stabilizers aren't very strong. So we can go and add a hip stabilizer exercise with the resistance band or cables to be able to help strengthen strengthen these muscles in everyday movements. So what we want to be able to go and do is that if I was in a split stance or a lunge position, I want to have my knee tracking over my second toe, which is right about there. So a lot of times people, if we're not quite stable, will tend to dive in or roll out if we don't quite have the hip stability from our stabilizing muscles. So what we can do is we can do cable pushes, cable pulls, overhead presses in split stance or even stance by adding a resistance band or cable resistance to the exercise to work on those hip stabilizer muscles. So what we do is if we're going to go and work on the outer hip muscles, what's called our gluteus medius, gluteus minimus, that help prevent the diving in of our knee, we want to place a resistance band with a handle or a cable around the knee, just above the knee joint, and we want to be able to go and place it so that the resistance is forcing us going in, so that way our gluteus medius has to work to pull it back out. So we can go and get in the split stance and do cable pushes and cable pulls, overhead pressing, and various different types of movement combinations while using the resistance band to strengthen our stabilizer muscles. So we can go into hip abduction, where we're strengthening those hip abductor muscles by forcing it to pull in, or we can go and work on our hip adductor muscles, or the muscles that strengthen from allow us to be able to pull it back in over the second toe from the outside. So how we would do that is we'd set up the resistance band so that our leg closest to the source is resisting. So now the cable wants to pull me this way, I have to use my inner thigh muscles to be able to go and pull the knee back in line with the second toe. And again, we can go and do this during any combination of movements, pushing, pulling, movement patterns, lunging, squatting as well. So again, the idea of using this exercise, this addition, is to be able to strengthen the hip stabilizer muscles. It's a very common weakness in many different people, especially people with ankle, knee, and knee injuries. So again, we can use it resisting going inward, or resisting going outward. And this is the add-on exercise for standing hip ab and adduction.